Everyone, today's skill breakdown is going to be on the White Knight. The White Knight is a Christian champion that you unlock through the Christian alignment. He is the first hero you unlock through the alignment, so you will need 7 points within the Christian alignment. His skill tree is not super different from standard champions. He does have 2 unique abilities to himself. This is the first champion I'm covering on the skill breakdown, so a lot of these abilities may not be super familiar. So I will definitely be sure to cover everything and try and make sure they are adequately explained. Beginning with Tier 1, there's of course the basic attack, just strike for AP, deals 100% damage. You can upgrade this so it causes bleeding. You can increase the base damage by 15%. You can have it apply vulnerability with a 20%. And have it reduce the cooldowns of all abilities by 1 when you kill someone using strike. The first one I find not very important, because champions you're usually killing them that turn if you're attacking them. So bleed usually doesn't get a lot of use. These other 3 are very, very good, especially this last one. It really helps you cycle through some of their cooldowns a lot faster, and some of the moves can have some moderately long cooldowns. His first unique ability is Blessed Weapon, provides a 20% damage buff for 2 turns. This one has some pretty good upgrades with it, beginning with this. Plus 15% weapon damage against the Lost. This one isn't amazing, but if you have extra skill points laying around, it's not bad to pick up. Lost can be a bit annoying to deal with sometimes. Reduce the cost of the ability by 1, so now it only costs 1. This one is great. Really help that AP efficiency on champions. They have some expensive moves. Blessed Weapon does an extra 10% for its weapon buff. If you're going to be using this, and I'd recommend it highly, definitely want this. And lastly, it grants an extra plus 1 AP per kill while this buff is active. Now, because this is a skill, this means it will be on every kill within the round, not limited to once per round like it is with gear. So this is actually a pretty impactful upgrade for the White Knight. Next is Cleave, 75% damage in a 3-tile area. You can also put bleed on this. As usual, I don't really recommend. Extra damage to the center target. So it's important to keep this in mind when determining how to place your targeting when using this move. Extra 15% damage for Cleave, very good. And then Hack and Slash, it gives Cleave knockback. This does have some situational use if you're trying to knock enemies away from your party, like your backline if they're getting pushed up on. I found this usually isn't worth it, and save a skill point on that. His first passive, sort of the hallmark of champions, is Rage. Gain 10% stackable weapon damage for 2 turns after every kill. This is essentially key to what allows champions to hit those super crazy numbers, 500 plus regularly. All of the upgrades are good on this one. The 4th one here can definitely be redistributed, but starting with the first, plus 5% weapon damage, so now this is doing 15%. Have Rage last an additional turn, so you can keep those damage buffs up more often, so now it's 3 turns instead of 2. Especially with the AP per kill nerf from gear. This is much more important now, I believe. Have it grant you that AP per kill. This plus Blessed Weapon now makes the White Knight the only champion to have a base of 2 AP per kill. He has no mobility, but the 2 AP per kill definitely helps compensate for that. And lastly, getting some heal off of kills. This one is fine. This is definitely more a talent I think you'll get more use out of as you're leveling up and going through the game. Once you've reached sort of the late game, the end game, you may want to respec and move this point elsewhere. As the health pool is so large, as you can see, 105 on this one. 6 isn't a whole lot. I don't find it super impactful. And then for his last 3, Juggernaut, plus 5% damage gained for every tile he moves within a turn. It's basically just to help get a little extra damage as you're going to chase down an enemy and hit them. This definitely can make the difference. Definitely want to take this. 50% bleeding damage. Again, bleeding is something that's more useful in the early game, so this may be worth taking during the early game, but as you reach higher level, you're definitely going to want to switch out of this. And then just extra 10% weapon damage for strength. Starting in Tier 2, we have an amazing single target attack, Power Attack, really high base damage, and really high armor break. For the cost of 5 AP, it's a very strong move, but with a upgrade, this first one here, you can reduce the cost down to 4, so now it costs the same amount as your normal strike attack. Have it apply a 30% vulnerability debuff, so if you open with this, your following attacks will be much more likely to kill them if this doesn't kill them outright, and it can a lot of the time. And that is because of this upgrade here, plus 25% weapon damage for power attack if the target has full HP and full vitality. So if you open up on a fresh unit, this will just smack them really, really hard. Last upgrade here, it now stuns, but costs 1 AP, so it would bring the cost back up to 5 if you took this upgrade. Definitely don't take this if you're not taking this. Using this for 6 is very kind of clunky and awkward. I know some people don't take the stun because champions are doing a lot of killing, so you're not going to have a lot of uptime for this stun. This is mostly useful for bosses, not really your standard average fights. So just kind of keep that in consideration, how much CC, how much debuff you have in the rest of your team comp. If you have someone else with stuns, this may not be worth taking, but I find for bosses, having this stun can be pretty useful. For the next skill, probably one of Champion's best skills, definitely I think their best one in terms of the base abilities they all have, is Earthshaker. This is a ranged line attack for them that starts with them. It deals 120% weapon damage to all units within the line. It cannot be blocked, and it doesn't say this here, but it does go through obstacles. So just because they're behind cover, you can still hit them. This makes it extremely powerful. With the first upgrade, it can cause knockback. I don't take this because usually you're using this if enemies are too far away for you to reach. This would just make it worse if they survive. Plus 15% weapon damage. And increased range by 2. This is a must. This is what gives it that range of 6. Range of 4 is good, but you'll find you'll be able to get so many more kills with just that 2 range increase. And then apply slow. This doesn't really boost damage much, so I don't concern myself. This is going to be one of the biggest enablers to be getting multi-kills with a single hit, and multi-kills is the bread and butter for champions. Always want to be looking for multi-kills to get what little AP per kill back they can, and continue getting more kills. For Tier 2 passives, we have Vengeance. When an enemy hits the White Knight, you will gain 10% weapon damage against them. This is just really good. You want your champions taking a couple hits, proc this Vengeance, and it makes it that much easier come the next turn to kill them and just sort of get their rage train going and just get that stacking damage bumping up that much faster. It has some good upgrades for this ability too. I don't generally take all of them because there's some higher priorities, but all of these are decent. The first one, the hero gains plus 2 AP if they have no HP. This is very strong if you have no HP, but obviously a much higher risk playstyle. You may think this means, oh, well then you're going to be having a bunch of vitality damage. Well, if you're stacking your armor, you can actually have no HP, but then buff up the armor, and then you still won't take damage. So that's where I said the kind of risk comes in, because as soon as that armor starts to get low, you're going to be taking those vitality hits, maybe taking injury. A little too risky for my taste, and I find maybe unnecessary. This next one, though, get plus 1 AP if the hero received at least 2 hits from any enemies during the enemy turn. This is very easy. They just need to take 2 hits. It's pretty common, especially since the champion is a frontliner. Taking 2 hits is a small ask. Usually they'll take more. For Frenzy, the less HP you have, the more damage you do. Again, sort of a high risk, high reward kind of playstyle. At 0 HP, it adds up to a total of 30%. I don't really know the exact formula for how the damage scales to how much health you're missing. It doesn't tell you, but you will do more damage the less health you have. Again, this just makes armor that much more important. And then this kind of combos with those, the first and third one. You gain unbreakable armor when you have no HP. This makes it so you always have some armor. Unfortunately, unless you have other buffs stacking with this plus 5, 5 is not going to be enough if you're playing on very hard or hard, because they do so much damage. 5 little unbreakable armor, if that's the only armor you have, you're basically taking full damage. Armorer, the hero loses 1 less AP from heavy armor sigils. This just means when you equip heavy armor, the AP debuff you get from equipping it will be shrunk. This is very good. You always want to take this to have as much AP as possible. If you're not aware of what I'm talking about because you haven't really paid attention, you can see here with the heavy armor, it says -2 AP. If we were to dequip this, you notice this goes up. It's only going from 11 to 10 instead of 11 to 9 because of this. Very important passive. It's usually one of the first things I take from tier 2. Then finally, Robust. Their version is a little bit stronger than the Defender ones because Defenders are beefy enough already. Plus 10% Vitality, plus 10% HP. The Champion version also has plus 10% physical debuff resist. Finally, with tier 3, we have his last unique ability, Holy Armor. You gain 31 armor for 1 turn. That is huge. You gain 1 for every level, so 25 once you're at max level, which brings it up to this enormous amount. This essentially guarantees if you're like, oh shit, he's surrounded or something, you pop this and he'll basically take no damage during the enemy turn. With upgrades, the first one also grants plus 4 unbreakable armor to adjacent heroes while this ability is active. This kind of synergizes with the other upgrades. This is kind of to turn him into a bit of a support tank for 1 turn in kind of emergency situations. The second upgrade, grant an additional 8 armor to the hero, just making him that much tankier. With the third upgrade, all adjacent enemies now attack the White Knight. Essentially, this move becomes a taunt. A very short-range taunt, but a taunt nonetheless. You're not going to want to rely on this for tanking, but it is a very strong, oh shit, emergency backup taunt. And then, of course, reduce the cooldown by 1, bringing this to a cooldown of 3. 3 AP cost is fairly cheap. 3 turn cooldown is fairly reasonable as well. Now, the rest of this is skills all champions have. They're all very good. Beginning with damage focus, you gain plus 5% weapon damage per unspent AP from the previous turn. So, if you have 10 AP and you pass your turn, you will get 50% damage on the next turn. You may think, why would I not be wanting to spend all my AP? I want to be hitting stuff and killing stuff. Well, sometimes there isn't stuff for you to hit, or sometimes the enemies are super far away, and you just want to let them run to you. Just pass your turn. Get this huge damage buff. Makes it a lot easier to get those kills on the following turn, and you will be doing way more damage. Going into upgrades, save strength. The hero gains plus 1 AP per 3 unspent AP left in the previous turn. This basically means champions can conserve more AP from turn to turn than other heroes. Normally the cap is 3 AP if you pass your turn. This lets you go over that 3 cap. The second upgrade provides an additional plus 3% weapon damage per unspent AP. So now this together, that's plus 8%. So with 10 AP, 80%. Huge. This next one, the hero gains 5 armor per 3 unspent AP. So this can actually be a lot, especially if you're just hunkering down a bit, waiting for enemies to come in on you. That previous example, 10 AP, that's 3 sets of this, so that's 15 armor right there. That's bringing his armor up, in this specific case, up to 36. That's a huge defensive increase and makes him much more resilient to archers. A lot of people are concerned about how archers are picking off champions and stuff. This ability really helps with that. I don't currently have spec'd in. Don't be like this. You definitely want to take this one. Then lastly, Focused Watch. When you end your turn using Overwatch, it will basically count as passing your turn if it never triggers. Definitely don't take this. The last upgradable passive is Melee Expertise. The hero gains additional unbreakable armor 2 and 5 mental debuff resist and physical debuff resist for each adjacent enemy. So this is for when you're putting your champion in situations where he is surrounded. This will make him much more resilient. And I find this is alright, but the most impactful upgrade from this ability, by far and away one of the best upgrades champions get, is Killing Spree. When you kill an enemy, you automatically attack another adjacent enemy with a strike skill for free. This basically lets you chain kills. So if you kill an enemy immediately for free with no additional AP cost, you swing on another one, and if that kills that guy, you take another swing. And if as long as you keep killing enemies that are within range, he will keep swinging. This is a huge boon to the AP efficiency on champions and a key player to increasing those rage damage stacks. Combat Specialist, while outnumbered, you gain even more weapon damage for each adjacent enemy. This is just good for when you're running into groups of enemies to start popping AoEs on them, like Cleave or Earthshaker, whatever. Just more damage, very good. When outnumbered at the beginning of your turn, you start with an additional +1 AP for each enemy above 2. So if you have 3 enemies surrounding him at the start of his turn, you get +1. Then lastly, all cooldowns are reduced by 1 if the hero starts their turn outnumbered. The last 3 non-upgradable passives, we have Extra Stun, plus 50% efficiency for stuns and slows. I usually don't take this because I don't take the slow on Earthshaker, but I do take the stun on Power Attack. This is sort of a bit of a judgment call if you think it's worth it for just the stun or just the slow, or if you're using both, then maybe it's a much easier pick for you. Hardened Armor, reduce armor loss by 20%, just really trying to give him some of that tankiness to combo with the sort of dangerous situations I tend to put my champion in intentionally to get those strong follow-up turns with all the damage buffs. And then extra area damage. This one's a must-take. Plus 20% weapon damage for every skill that deals damage in an area. So this is going to be your Earthshaker, this is going to be your Cleave. These are huge moves for the champion. Your key to getting multi-kills, which is kind of the key to the class. Big, big, big. And that wraps up the skills for the White Knight. Champions really don't vary a whole lot in their skill trees from one another, with the exception of one of them. There's usually only a couple minor changes. The ones that the White Knight has between Blessed Weapon and Holy Armor are quite strong and worth looking into for sure. I think Blessed Weapon is a must-have. Holy Armor I think you can maybe skip out on, but definitely worth considering. I hope this was helpful, and thanks for watching.